Insect New Review of Blaimer et al. 2023 Phylogeny of Hymenoptera. So we have a phylogeny of about 769 species, and we can see the terminal IDs all starting with taxonomic name, usually a genus, but a lot of use of these codes in terminal IDs using various different formats. Now, in a supplement to the file, we have mapping information, so we have the codes used in the vouchers, or the presumably same as the terminal IDs. And in the following columns, we have taxonomic information, genus and species ID. So first thing is to replace the terminal IDs, which are these, with the genus and species. Now this is trivial, but it's not the only thing we need to do. If we look closer at this, we have format SP1, fine, but we have some things here which I'm not really sure what they are. So, for example, two names as the species. This could be a subspecies, or it could be alternate. It's probably subspecies. Sometimes some people will put the alternative species. We have codes as the species ID. This needs cutting off. We have both the formats SP and NSP. We have SP number and SP letter. And SP2. We have SPNR and the name, which it probably is. That NR means it's probably the species. Well, normally you wouldn't bother with the SP, so the SP is cutting off here. And that's just the first part of the file. So there's various processing needs done even if all of the terminals were switched. There's still some other things need doing. So wrote a script to do this, and we have, as I say, I've been through all after the names have been swapped, and I then looked through what are the remaining names which don't look. Thank you. And we have a bunch of things to deal with. So we have a prob, which is a bit odd. Presumably this means it's probably Gala species, and that's my best guess. So I'll just cut off prob. We have these codes. We have some remaining codes which weren't swapped with when we use the mapping file. Various different code formats, NSP, SP, and then code. So normally we would have NR. Well, here we have the full word near. So this is changed to NR. We have NSP, which I'm not really clear if there's much difference between just using SP. So I would just change this to cut out the N. SPA, I prefer to turn this into a number, SP1, or just cut this off. This is a bit confusing to me. This would normally imply that the species is unknown, but then there's something which looks like a species name after it. So I'll just cut this off, which is a conservative approach. Then we have genus name underscore CF. This is similar to NR. And I'd expect commonly you'd get a name after this, and the CF would mean it's probably the name after, but that's lacking in this case. So I'm not sure what this means. It could mean that CF is referring to the genus instead, but I've just put SP for this anyway. few more cases where we have two putative species names. Let's just use the first one, SP and the name. Normally if you have SP, then you don't really have a name. So I've just, in this case, I've just cut off the name, and most of these is single representative, no more than a single representative per genus. So I think it's okay to use SP. It's a bit safe to do this. Then we have SP and then NR. So that's not necessary. Just cut off the SP. SP prob presumably is as an abbreviation, probably. So I'll just put NR and then the species. And that's the terminal processing done. And then we have a few other things to deal with. Here we have a duplicate terminal ID Platygastor species, which unfortunately is polyphyletic, but not really. It's not really informative if it's lacking other information about this. So I just had to cut off one of these at random. Terminals labeled only to family level. Several of these I've cut off. Again. So about maybe 5 or so of these. And I found one duplicated species, so identical species, sister as expected, and just cut off one of these, and that's job done. So I have this custom script for each published tree to process it, and then run check terminals and see. We did a script to check what we've got remaining, see if there's anything weird in there, and this all looks pretty sensible now. So these are anything which doesn't look like a binomial. So I have 371 non-binomials out of the about 750, and of that 371, most of them are unique to that genus. And for the remainder 20 or so, that means that there's named conspecifics. So I would, in that case, I would prune the species ambiguous version. So use a prune tree. Pruned about 26. So this is a UCE tree, which is an omics tree, means it's very character rich. UCE trees, I think this is the largest one I've ever seen, 700. So this is a invaluable addition to any synthesis tree of the insects. So great to include this. And added it to the database, well, a spreadsheet which lists everything I've databased. So I have UCE tree for the Hymenoptera. It's one that I've processed from a publicly available machine readable version. After processing 736 terminals, pruning just 20 or 30 or so, and a great new tree to have. And